health and peace and happiness for everyone. Ashreinu, how good and beautiful is our heritage. Parashat Ki-Tisa, Tafshin Pei Bet. Aharon's actions in the event of Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf, raise several difficult questions. Ibn Ezra asks, there were so many people in our history whose spiritual level didn't come anywhere near to that of Aharon Hacohen, but they were ready to sacrifice their lives as long as they don't perform a sin of Avodah Zarah. And here Aharon Hacohen himself is the one who creates this golden calf, and then Aharon becomes the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, and the one who is going to pass on Kehuna for all future generations. Rav Yaakov Meidan explains that Aharon is the example from which Hillel HaZaken learns in Masechet Avot. Hillel says, Hevei mi talmidav shel Aharon, be a disciple of Aharon, a person who loves peace, who brings people closer to Torah. Hillel's attitude to halacha is lenient, it's being inclusive, it's enabling as many Jews as possible, as many people as possible to connect to the guidance of the Torah. That's what Hillel was trying to do here in the event of the Chet HaEgel. Here, it was a mistake. Here, facing the sin of Chet HaEgel, what was needed was a more strict attitude. But when it comes to the question of who is the right person to be Kohen Gadol, Aharon is the right person. The same attitude, the same personality that caused Aharon to make the mistake in Chet HaEgel, not to be strict enough, but that is what is needed on an everyday basis to create a center, Beit HaMikdash, a center of spirituality for all of Am Yisrael, to include everyone, to be able to atone for the mistakes and the sins of Am Yisrael. Aharon, who made the mistake in Chet HaEgel, is the right person to be the regular, consistent Kohen Gadol. Generally, we see two different attitudes of Torah leadership in Am Yisrael. Shammai's leadership is a leadership of being strict and stringent. Hillel's attitude is an attitude of being lenient and inclusive. And there is room for both of them. We need both of these attitudes. Elu va'elu, both are the words of God, Divrei Elohim Chaim. When it comes to Chet HaEgel, the right attitude was that of Shammai, not that of Hillel. Generally, halacha ke-Beit Hillel, halacha is like Beit Hillel, but not always. We always have to take both sides into consideration and make decisions specifically for every issue in itself. This reminds me of something Rav Kook wrote about a different piece in the Gemara. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat has several stories showing us how Hillel was very humble. Amongst them are the stories of 3 non-Jews who wanted to convert to Judaism, but they wanted to do it in ways which were not appropriate according to the Torah. Shammai rejected them. Hillel was able to bring them closer to the Torah, have them go through proper conversion, and show them the right way, and lead them to understand what is the proper way of conversion according to the Torah, according to the halacha. That whole piece starts in the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat with the sentence, Le'olam yeh adam anvetan kehillel ve'al yakabdan keshamai. A person should always be humble like Hillel and not strict like Shammai. I was surprised to discover that Rav Kook, who is very much a Hillelnik, if I can call him so, Rav Kook himself is very careful to explain that we need both Shammai and Hillel. We need Shammai sometimes to say this is where we have to draw the line. And we need Hillel to be inclusive and be able to bring people closer in. So even though the Gemara says be like Hillel, not like Shammai, the truth is, the bottom line at the end of the day says, Rav Kook, of all people, Rav Kook. The truth is we need both of them. Again, not either one of the attitudes has all of the truth. We always have to take into consideration both sides and make decisions specifically for every issue. What is always true? What's always true is not either or. What's always true is take into consideration both sides. This issue is very relevant on several contemporary controversies in our society, in Israeli society, specifically in the religious society in Israel. Very often we hear the claim that if you're trying to be inclusive and lenient, what you're doing is not bringing Jews closer to Torah, but lowering the Torah closer to the Jews. And that's a mistake, some attitudes say. But I would say, yes, sometimes it is right to not to go against the Torah, but to allow the halakha to be lenient so that many Jews, as broad as possible circles of Jews, can come closer to the Torah. Yes, that is a consideration. Is it the only consideration? Is it always the right consideration? No, no such thing. It's always right to take all the different sides into consideration, as we said several times already, and to make decisions specifically for every issue. But yes, this is one of the considerations that should be taken into consideration. Let's go back to Aharon Hacohen. From Aharon Hacohen, we will learn to love every Jew, to make peace, to look for ways to include and enable the Torah to be such that as broad as circles of Jews as possible can become connected to the Torah. There are times where it's necessary to be more strict and stringent, but we always have to have this attitude of Aharon Hacohen and Hillel HaZaken as part of our considerations. Always take both sides into consideration. Shalom is shlemut, wholeness, completeness. Wholeness and completeness is only there where you enable all the different sides and considerations to be taken into consideration. Eilu va'eilu, both of them are divrei Elohim chayim, the word of Hashem. This is shalom. This is deep and true shalom. And with this in mind, we can conclude by saying Shabbat Shalom.